Well, welcome, my friends. I am so happy to be here with Marjorie Moss, one of my dear friends, but also executive director of Share Omaha. We just had the big Giving Tuesday a week or so ago. And Marjorie, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, Andy, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for having us back.
Well, let's talk about it. I know this was, I saw so many things on social media, lots of people giving, lots of nonprofits receiving. But let's just talk a little about the big news and what happened that day, and give us some numbers if you can.
I certainly can. So we set a goal of 4.5 million, an increase over 3.16 last
Okay.
year. And man, were we off because the
Really?
metro area raised 5 million, 4.5 million, 0.49 million.
And this is the first time I'm actually hearing this. That is so wonderful and amazing, and actually not surprising because we
No,
have a generous community, but oh my goodness. Yeah.
so next year we'll just be happy to maybe hopefully like rise above that number, but I I don't know what this metro area is capable of because every time they surprise us. I will also tell you that we had over 500 volunteer hours served just that day.
Wow.
And then early estimates from Amazon are that 8,000 items were purchased off the website, and that
Wow.
26% of the donors that came through shareomaha.org were first time donors. So, but I can't underscore enough the relationships and partners and all the reporting that the metro area can be proud of regarding that 5.49 million number. That goes to benefit so many nonprofits.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that our partners at the Omaha Community Foundation that encourage donor advice fund contributions, and then our partners at the Pottawatomie County Community Foundation that gave a 20% match for endowment account contributions. Those numbers were part of the day. They were part of the celebration. They were part of the energy of the day, and they all contributed that large,
Yeah.
impressive, exciting number.
Yeah. And okay, so let me ask you a couple questions, because those are big numbers. And also, so Share Omaha, how many years are we? 3 years? Or are we celebrating almost our 3-year anniversary in
Yeah, this
January?
yes, it'll be 3-year anniversary, January 17th.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And what your organization does to really connect all these people and to bridge that gap that, first of all, made, I think, Giving Tuesday possible is, yeah, I mean, I just have to, I have to thank you. I think the community thanks you. And what, moving forward, as we're looking at, I mean, that was a big day, but again, Share Omaha, the giving community really is 365 days a year. And what can we do? And if we're looking at end of year giving, what can we do?
Yes. So Share Omaha's big celebration truly is Giving Tuesday, but
Yeah.
the website is a resource that the community can use any day of the year. And
Yeah.
Share Omaha, we say that we provide the call to action: give, get involved, give what you can. But it's the nonprofits that really produce the reason why you contribute.
Yeah.
A quote that I think of pretty often when I think about philanthropy is that people aren't tired of being asked, they're tired of being uninspired. And that inspiration comes from our nonprofits. And if there's a nonprofit or a mission or a cause that's inspiring you to serve or inspiring you to give, it is time to research who is addressing those needs and start connecting with them. So end of year giving on Share is really an opportunity to meet somebody, meet not somebody, but meet an organization maybe for the first time that you haven't contributed it before. It's
Yeah.
a great place to start a relationship.
Yeah. And I'm actually, so I'm looking at you, but I'm also looking on your website over here on my laptop. And you have 652 nonprofits on your website that people can research. You also have 585 opportunities for people to volunteer. There's so many other things that if we we have a passion for whether it's animals or children or the elderly, or, I mean, there's so many things that there's so many different groups that are in need. And, the place, go find them on your website.
Well, shareomaha.org really provides kind of a do good shopping experience. I mean, you can slice and dice these 652 nonprofits a million ways to Sunday. You can figure out exactly what it is that those 2 or 3 or 4 nonprofits that really address the thing that you're talking about, or that you care about, that itch you want to scratch in the community. You can find them. And we believe that every dollar given on Giving Tuesday is the start of a story. And we've heard about impact and stories from our nonprofits that we just love. Andy, do you mind if I tell you one of them?
Please do. Please do.
Well, I think about we heard a comment from the organization RISE. They're a post-prison workforce development program, and one of their graduates made a first-time gift to the organization, and it said it brought their whole office what I'll call happy tears, because they do this work for those graduates, and for those graduates to turn into donors. That's some of the magic that we saw happen on Giving Tuesday. We're so excited to hear that story from RISE. And then during one of our live streams, nonprofits were getting shout outs from donors that had given gifts that day. And the Habitat for Humanity was taking those bits and signing a stud with all the nonprofits that were being called out and why people gave to them. And that stud, both sides, is covered with those types of well wishes for the nonprofit community. And it's going to go into somebody's house, in one of the Habitat houses. There's magic that happens on days like this. And I can't tell you enough. I mean, it's a swell of generosity. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, everything that you're doing, Marjorie, and that Share Omaha is doing, it's just, it's big stuff, and it contributes to so many. I think the ripples that go out, we don't even know that, because a ripple that somebody gives to this person or this organization actually has generations that potentially
Yes.
it has an imprint on that could be 100 or 200 years from now. I mean, that might sound weird, but yeah, it's we're impacting those families and those people.
Yes, and we never know the end result of the dollars and the goodness that we do. It's not our responsibility to know, but we know that each of those contributions do mean something to those clients, to those organizations, to their mission being fulfilled.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit. We've got about a couple minutes left. So what's next? I mean, a little bit, year-end giving. People are looking at that. And then also, I just want to look into 2022, because things have been, we've been challenged with the last couple of years of the pandemic and all that. So
we have, and just to know that our community can show up for itself, that people that are able to be generous are being generous. It just says something remarkable about our metro area, both Omaha and Southwest Iowa. And our relationships with the Omaha Community Foundation and Pottawatomie County Community Foundations are so rich. And we just expect those relationships to grow in the coming year. And then also the sponsors of Giving Tuesday, I just have to give a quick shout out. Core Bank and TS Bank, they are role models for what a corporate citizen does for the community. Core Bank gave matching gifts to the Lifehouse and to the Omaha Street School, and to the tune of $6,000 total. It's amazing. And then TS Bank collected diapers and canned goods at all of their locations to benefit Southwest Iowa nonprofits. We hope that we get to unearth more of those types of relationships in 2022. But I'll give you just a little bit. We're hosting Do Good Days, May 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yes.
So that is our next campaign. And we're going to have a day focused on cash, a day focused on wish lists, and a day focused on volunteerism. Because our website, shareomaha.org, really has 3 different calls to action related to how to get involved. And we wanted each of those calls to kind of have their own day.
Sure.
So the members on Share Omaha really see a boost in many different ways, not just cash, not just volunteers, not just wish lists. So they get to see the swell that happens from our website in 1 week. So do good days, 10th, 11th, 12th of May.
Okay. So yeah, so it's 3 days, right?
Yes, 3 days. Sponsored by First National Bank of Omaha.
Yeah. Well, Marjorie, again, it's so great to see you. And we had a conversation before Giving Tuesday, and really just letting people know what happened after Giving Tuesday. And I just appreciate this conversation to talk about that. And then we'll have a conversation first quarter, in 2022. And we can talk about, the upcoming, what you're doing for the community. So
absolutely. And it was on this interview that I spoke the goal for the first time. And so to be able to come back with you and tell you that we exceeded our expectations, like that spirit of abundance. Andy, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and you're welcome. And I just want to thank the community as a whole, that this is a really generous community. And I just, happy holidays to you, Marjorie, and to everybody. So
yes, happy holidays.
Okay. And I will talk to you soon. And folks, we will be right back. Well, hello, my friends. I am so excited to be here with a good friend of mine that I've known for years, maybe over a decade or longer. Nick Huff. I know Nick Huff. He is the owner of Made in Omaha, also Hutch, and then Hutch Fest. Is the name that for the over the in the summer that you guys put on this great festival. So anyway, Nick, thank you for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So for people that may not know you, and I can't imagine who doesn't know you, and everything that you do, but give us a little history about what you do and what you have created in the Omaha community.
Yeah. What a fun question. Okay. So it started about 8 years ago. Brandon Bede and I started Hutch. We started that in the basement of a place downtown below McLovin. It was a men's clothing store.
Yeah.
We were in the basement slinging vintage furniture that we found. It was like mid-century finds. We did that for a couple months and opened up a store in Midtown Crossing to do vintage for furniture, and then snowballed into selling residential furniture. And now, as of like 3 years ago, we actually mainly do commercial furniture now. So we furnish, whether it be hotels, country clubs, luxury multifamily. That's what we do now on the Hutch side, which is really fun.
I'm going to interrupt real quick. Have you always had a passion for furniture or vintage furniture? I
don't know. I think like post college, getting my first place and just wanting to fill it with items that were mine now. They weren't hand-me-downs, or they weren't, I did still find a lot of things on Craigslist, but I just tried to find cooler things instead of what I did in college. So I think, just my style just started to shift a little bit post-college. And yeah, so started to
Okay.
buy the mid-century items and whatnot. So I think I've always like had a knack for design or fashion in general my whole life, but it wasn't until I had the time as an adult to
Yeah.
really kind of explore that.
Yeah. All right. So you had Hutch.
Yep.
You have Hutch. And okay. So I'll let you continue.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, Hutch, and we opened up our new showroom in Millwork Commons for Hutch in January 2022. So that'll be really fun. And then I think 5 years ago we started Hutch Fest, and that is a fall makers festival that we have anywhere from 200 to 300 makers from across the region and across the nation. We have Terry Healy runs that event basically, and me and Brandon support her. She does all the maker interactions and picks out all the makers, and Brandon does all the environment stuff, and I just kind of help make it happen. So that is, yeah, about 10,000 people come to that, and that's in North Downtown. Just a one-day festival. It's a lot of work for 6 hours, but the makers love it, the attendees love it, and we love it because we get to support the local economy. I think there's like $1 million in economic activity that go on during those 6 hours of Hutch Fest, which is really fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been
And
into it many times, and I think that's one of the things too that I just love, Nick, about you and Brandon and your team. I mean, it's really supporting the local people and their craftsmanship, whether they're making candles or whether they're making T-shirts or this and that. And maybe that's how Made in Omaha kind of came to be as
exactly. Exactly. So in Hutch, we started carrying some local makers because we wanted to support the local economy. And then we felt we were limited by our four walls of the store. So then we created Hutch Fest to support more. And then after Hutch Fest, we're like, wow, we really do have this great community of local makers. We should make a store for these local makers. So Made in Omaha was birthed 3.5 years ago, I believe. And our first store is in Countryside Village. It's still there. We have about 80 makers in there, and opened up our second location in the Old Market, and then third location this last year at Shops of Legacy. So we have 3 locations now, and it's been really fun. Yeah, Terry Healy basically runs that operation. She's amazing. And yeah, we have about 80 makers in the store. During the holidays, it's really fun because we do like these custom local gift boxes that you can either order online or corporate orders. You know, companies can order for their entire teams or thank yous to their clients. So that's been a lot of fun too.
Yeah. And one of the things, I mean, okay, so you guys were on the cover of Midland's Business Journal for our November 26th issue. And one of the things I asked you was to do a top 10 list because you are such a advocate for shop local and buying local. And there's so many amazing people in our Omaha metro community that are creating stuff, you know, again, like I said, candles or T-shirts or postcards, or there's all kinds of different things. Because if you go to madeinomaha.com, you can find out all kinds of things, and including the gift boxes that we talked about. But let's just we don't have to go through all the top 10 list of why buying local is important, but can you just give us a few that, I mean, it is important.
Absolutely. So I'll start off with Made in Omaha. So at Made in Omaha, we did a study last year, and it was 91 cents per dollar gets siphoned back through the Omaha community, which is a lot. As if you compare that to like a national box store like Target, theirs is about 31 cents to the dollar that goes back to Omaha, and then Amazon about 1%. So if you shop local at all, it means, you know, you're really spending with your dollar, and you're really ensuring that those that money gets siphoned back through the local economy, whether it's at Made in Omaha or any other local shop. So spending with your dollar is really, really important if you want to help continue to see Omaha grow creatively, whether that be in the retail aspect, whether that be in food and drink, whether you want to be in the art scene. It's really important to spend your money locally so that you can help these creative communities and makers survive to live here. It really helps people not want to move away. It helps people have pride in their own city.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so I think that's really important.
And I think too, because I'm actually again on your website for Made in Omaha, which is, again, you are people that are local artists, local owners, local. I mean, you're showing their products, and you have so much stuff in there. And again, like you said, I want to encourage everybody to visit your store. You have so many things in there, but again, you're being an advocate, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's buying local. I mean, it is important. So do you have a couple other reasons for why shopping local is important to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So your shopping experience overall too. So if you walk into a local shop, you're going to see things that are more unique than a big box store. These are things made locally, designed locally, and they're original. So you're having an elevated shopping experience, whether it be a chef that's creating food locally. It's not a chain store. It's like the chef came up with that menu and all that stuff. So yeah, walking into a retail store, it's going to make your shopping experience more unique. And then also typically the customer service is better as well, because a lot of people who work for local companies understand the grind, understand, they want to support local, and they really are passionate about their work and kind of like spreading that. So that, yeah, your experience there and the products are going to be more unique, and the service is typically better and more tailored.
I'm going to ask you a question that's a little bit that is not on our sheet or our questions. With the pandemic, we are now getting into almost close to 2 years as we get into 2022. How have you seen that with what you do? I mean, in your place, because I almost think that buying local is even more important. And you had to like pivot. You had to look at things a little bit differently, or broaden your scope about how do you present yourself.
Absolutely. We had to do a few different things for all of our entities. Hutch Fest, unfortunately, we had to skip out on the first year. It just wasn't smart to do it all. We're lucky that the event's outside and we have more scientific data behind things there. So for Hutch, it's been interesting. So sourcing any sort of material, whether it be steel, lumber, foam that goes into a sofa or chair, we're seeing like very extended long lead times. So it's important, so if you order local, whether residential or commercial projects, you get a level of service that we understand our vendors and what they are capable of right now and what's realistic. So we get to talk through the buyer through those things and give them a realistic timeline of when things are going to get done, or give them options of things that are in stock right now. So you don't really get that level of service online, because I'm sure everyone has watching this has bought something online, furniture, and it gets delayed, and you really there's nothing you can do. It's like, oh, they said 2 weeks, now it's 6.
2 months or 6.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're shopping local for Hutch, means we get to add a level of service in there and a level of expectation that you may not get if you order online. And then for Made in Omaha, the makers have been incredible. So we had last year and the year before, or actually the first year of the pandemic, I think we were closed almost 8 months. Our retail locations, our brick and mortars were closed.
Yeah.
And we just did online. And that was a really great time. I mean, we already had an online shop, but we really had to turn the gears up on that and really start pushing our online. And it went great. Our makers were for the most part at home and still able to produce what
Yeah.
they're doing. Because a lot of these makers, either they do it on the side or, they have gotten enough business now where they can do it as a full-time job. So we were able to keep a lot of our inventory in for Made in Omaha. And it really is kind of like an immediate gratification because everything we sell, we keep really good inventory of all of our product. If you buy it, it's either going to ship right away to you, and obviously if you're coming into our stores now, you get that instant gratification. So for Made in Omaha, we switched online, and that we were lucky enough for that to go well for us. And now we have our stores back open and for the holidays, and it's going great.
Yeah. So you have 3 stores, one in Shops of Legacy, Countryside Village, which was your first original store. And then I think your largest store is in the Old Market, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And again, you're not just, you're a business, you're an entrepreneur, and you're also being this funnel for people to be able to sell their services locally. So I encourage people, again, I've been looking at your website and looking at all the different, you guys, there's so many different amazing local artists, makers that are, have producing product that I think your website, 504 products that are made here locally, Omaha metro area. So encouraging people to go and buy local. We're all in this together, and it's just kind of fun to, first of all, be able to support local artists, local makers, but also when I'm shipping things to other people in other states, I am having fun seeing hey, I'm sending them something from Omaha, Nebraska. And it's just a great gift.
It is. Yeah. And to give people an idea, if they haven't visited the website or store, we have a wide array of products. So we have like a food and pantry section that has chocolates and hot sauces and honey and beer and liquor and toffee and all that kind of stuff. And then we have a very large apparel section too.
Yes.
So t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, socks. And then we do have paper goods, from posters to cards and candles and ceramics and bags. And so we have a really little bit of everything that you can expect a local maker to make.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. And I just want to thank you because, you created something that truly is, I think, a necessity, and also just helps people locally that have these products. So Nick, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And do we have a date for Hutch Fest next year?
Yes, I believe it's September 5th.
Okay.
It's always the Sunday before Labor Day.
Okay. All right.
So it'll be that day. I think it's the 5th.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely check back in with you before that, because again, that's just a great event. And I've been to it many times and it's so much fun. But Nick, thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate it.